Hey YouTube, my name is Mike. I'm a passionate woodturner and woodworker and dipped my toes into metalworking lately as well. Unfortunately, I had quite a bad mountain biking accident about 1.5 years ago, which left me disabled from roughly my ribs downwards. And that caused a whole lot of changes in my life. Mainly me moving from Augsburg to Hamburg in Germany, so once completely across the country. And now I'm setting up my new shop in Hamburg, and I kind of want to take you along on the ride, how it's going, what the challenges are, and maybe share my passion for woodworking and workshop life with you guys. So today I kind of want to give you a little workshop tour on how it's looking so far, maybe move around some stuff, and yeah, give you a little tour. So this is the view from the entrance to my workshop. As you can see, it is an old barn, or part of an old barn, for now separated from the rest of it by this big piece of tarpaulin. There's gonna be a wooden wall eventually. I have a lovely group of people here that is going to help me out with building that wall. So yeah, shop tour. This is one of my biggest new acquisition. It's a 330 by 1000 millimeter metalworking lathe built in 2006, but basically unused. I think she has like 2 hours of work on it, but yeah, it was basically from an old gentleman that got ill and, well, sold it to me for a good price. On the other side of it is my mill drill, one of those Chinese hobby machines, I guess. Works out quite well. It's one of the beefier ones, so I'm quite happy with it. I outfitted it with one of those Chinese DROs, which makes working a lot easier. Unfortunately, both the lathe and the mill do have three-phase 400 volts power, which is not wired in yet here, so they are just sitting ducks for now and not very useful, which doesn't stop me, to be honest, from acquiring way too many tools so far and spending way too much money on cutting tools and stuff. Next to the metal mill, we do have a CNC router. It's one of those Chinese 40 by 60 routers. It works quite well. I'm not too happy with the table. It's really flexible. I'm gonna upgrade that with a solid aluminum table that will be tapped with a bunch of M6 holes for work holding, and we'll get an upgrade in the X-axis. But other than that, I'm quite happy with it so far. Next to that, there is my workbench for now, and also the heater back there. You can see it's one of those diesel heating units. Works quite well in here. It doesn't get too warm, but makes very cold days kind of okay. The workbenches are not gonna stay. I'm gonna pick up 2 really nice workbenches next week, install them here together with a big lathe. Moving on, next to that, there is some workshop storage, and then there's the corner with the dust extraction, which eventually is gonna get plumbed into the wall. I will run one big metal duct up into the ceiling and then have a tube dangling down from there. I'm upgrading from this 100 millimeter tube to a 120 tube, which I already have, but it is just a bit big for me to move around. Also, with the tube laying on the floor, I cannot move around the shop. Next to that, there is my small lathe. It's a Yates American Type J170. It's roughly built in the 1930s, I think. It does have variable speed, and the previous owner put a VFD on it. So we basically have double variable speed. At some point, I decided I want more center height on it, so I put a bit of a riser block on it. So now it can turn up to 400 millimeters in diameter, and I don't know, I think 1 meter in length. I've got a vacuum unit on this lathe, so it is my finishing lathe for the most part. Works great for finishing up bolts, turning small stuff like handles and pins and rings and all that kind of stuff. Really like it. Fits quite well with the wheelchair. My legs fit right underneath it, so I can work quite comfortably on it. Right next to it, oh, if you're wondering, by the way, what that weird noise is, it's my brakes down here, which I need to apply, otherwise I start rolling around because the floor is kind of slanted. Next to it, there is right now a huge pile of wood, which is going to be my task to move out of the way in the next couple of days. because that is the spot where the big lathe will be sitting. Next to that, we have the first bit of workshop storage. There's a lot more of this kind of stuff to come. I will need quite a bit of place to keep all the already dried bolts that I have made in the past couple of years, and that will be finished now. This is my sliding table saw, or panel saw, I think you call it. It is not the greatest thing in the world. It is working okay. It's not too accurate, but the sliding table is nice for smaller stuff. It just slides for about 600 millimeters, I think, which is a bit short sometimes, but well, better than no saw, right? So next up is the bandsaw that I just got here. It's a Grizzly bandsaw. I don't know the exact type. I picked it up from a guy that brought it in from America. And I do have to say that it is really nicely made. It is all cast iron, despite being a very small saw. Very sturdy, it has enough power, it has a nice fence on it, and works a charm. It is sitting on wheels, so I can just pull it out if need be and work on it. Next to that, there's storage, which keeps all the hand tools for now. Also the tool grinder, which will eventually get outfitted with my bowl grinding accessories. Next to that, there's the cart that has all the tooling for the mill and some tooling for the lathe in it. And yeah, then we are already back in the metalworking corner. So as you can see, the place is kind of full already, and it's only gonna get fuller. So I'm gonna get to move some wood around and kind of scroll it away in all the corners and stuff. I've got a couple more upgrades in my mind. I would like to have a little metal cutting bandsaw in here, and maybe a little planer. Like one of those lunchbox planers would be great, but I'm not quite sure where to put those. So we will see on that. Let's get to move some wood and clean the shop up a bit. Oh yeah, one of the first things I had to learn being in the wheelchair and in the workshop with a lot of shavings around is you will need an apron. All of the wood shavings are gonna end up on your wheelchair right here. You will wiggle around, you will have them everywhere, you will find them for the rest of the next 2 weeks. So this is about how far I'm gonna get today. Bigger pieces of wood needed to be moved by somebody else. As you might be able to see, that gave me quite a workout. Everything in the wheelchair is quite a bit heavier than it would normally be, but yeah, that's how you stay in shape, I guess. So thank you for watching so far. Well, I guess like and follow or subscribe rather to see more of us. Bye.